back into the Demon Ruins. Now, once you've beaten Kellogg, normally what you do is you just go back. This is especially true if you've gotten the second Bell of Awakening wrong, which for most people that's what she's going to be. But instead, you can go deeper into the ruins, even though it appears to be mostly a dead end. Now, the ruins are pretty cool. You can actually see all these areas down below. These are areas that you can actually get to. There's a number of areas up top as well. These are areas that you can't go to, but they are pretty cool. There is something that you're supposed to be able to see here, but we're at the wrong angle to actually see it. It's much easier to see from the other location, but there's an area elsewhere in the game that you can look down into this area from. And I believe you can look back up into it the other way, but due to the properties of the area, you're not going to see very much. More on that at some point. Anyway, there's a fog door, which is the only way you can seemingly go. There's a big puddle of lava down there. Nothing you can do. But nothing actually prevents you from walking into this area, and even though it's a fog gate, nothing happens. This is an area, though, of course, where you go around the corner here, or if you'd run down to the end of the path, you might have seen this guy. Oh, big scary guy. What's odd, though, is that you see this guy. He's clearly an enemy of some sort, and nothing happens with him. He doesn't attack you, he doesn't do anything. Now, normally, if you were just exploring, you'd walk down to the end of this thing. There's a body there that has an armor set on it. And as soon as you pick up that armor set, he attacks you. This is Ceaseless Discharge. He's one of the bosses. He's basically an optional boss, and he's also technically a gimmick boss. He has an enormous amount of health. He hits very hard, but you're not really supposed to fight him. There's a gimmicky way to beat him, which is just to grab the armor, then run all the way back to the fog door that you came in through. When you do it that way, he'll pretty much kill himself. It's not a glitch. It's actually intentional. But he just won't do it. Now, what I wanted to do, just for the sake of it, this is not something that you should do if you're trying to sequence break, because it's just you're going to be underprepared for it. But I wanted to see if I could take him out somewhat more legitimately. It's possible to do. I have seen it done. And I'm also wanting to show something off here by attacking him directly. So I've popped power within. Unfortunately, I've wasted a lot of my spells, but I'll get as close to him as I can, and there it goes. Did a fair amount of damage to him. Rolled out of the way of that sweep, which is very difficult to do. This is about the only time I succeeded, and then he slams his arm down on me. And that's an instant death. It used to be possible to use the Iron Flesh spell to tank this with a heavy armor set like the Stone Armor, but in one of the earlier patches, the Iron Flesh spell was heavily nerfed. So its damage reduction is nowhere near as good as it used to be. Before, it was possible to basically just have a shield, raise the shield. I don't even know if the shield would matter at all. Just have heavy armor and the Iron Flesh, raise your shield, let him hit you. He'll knock you down, but he won't kill you. And then you hit his arm. The way to do it now, if you're going to fight him just standing in front of his face, which, as we'll see in a moment, is not going to go well for me, then you can have to roll out of the way of his sweeps and his strikes, and then hit his arm after when he slams it down. That's one way to do it. What you'll notice, though, is that he's not attacking us again. Ceaseless Discharge is not hostile as long as you do not touch the body in the back there. Or you attack him. But he won't remember that he was hostile to you. So you could just go right back up to him, grab your souls, and try again. And I will be trying again quite a lot, because despite my early successes, I just get into a rut here where I just cannot seem to do damage to him. Now, in theory, if I can hit him enough, you can see he's not so killable. Oh, and there I go, tumbling off the ledge. He's not so unkillable that you couldn't get him, but he does have quite a lot of hit points. I did basically almost 2,000 damage to him, and he's still not quite down to half. So he's got some of the higher health in the game for a boss, at least for this stage. And he can certainly do a lot of damage. There we go, getting clipped by that. Giving it another try here. Roll the other way. That didn't work very well at all. He's actually using one of two attacks. It's very hard to tell from this angle and with the colors as they are. He'll either do a sideways sweep that you have to roll dodge through during an invincibility frame. It also has a spray of fire, but when we're this close to him, it really doesn't matter. He also has that strike down. Unfortunately, he's a bit unpredictable. Sometimes he'll strike once and just leave his arm there for a while and you can just keep hitting it. But sometimes he'll pick it up again and immediately strike a second time. That unpredictability makes him very hard to fight legitimately. So let's try a trick. It's not going to be the trick that kills him instantly. It is going to be a trick that sort of allows us to fight him legitimately. But it's not exactly a straight-up battle with him either. What we'll do is get our souls back, because again, he's not hostile, so there's no reason not to. And we will get a setup here with a bow instead of sorcery. We're going to still use power within probably, but we'll focus more on one other thing here. Now I wanted to see how far I could actually shoot him from. You can actually hit him from a distance. The problem is that arrows have damage drop off, and if an arrow hits a target, you'll see a little splotch come out of him. Like that didn't hit. So let's aim for his head. I believe that actually may have, but the problem is it's not doing damage, and apparently you have to do damage to him. See, that stuck in his face there. Apparently you have to do damage to him in order to do it. He can't, I don't believe, be poisoned. Poison arrows will actually cause the poison whether they do any damage or not. Oh, there we go. Just had to get a little closer. Didn't do much damage, but it did just enough to attract his attention. Now what we're going to do is move over here to this other area. Ceaseless Discharge will actually move around in the lava in front of this big area between the fog door and the body. If you run through this little tunnel, he'll shoot flames at you if you're within sight, and he'll go around to the other side if he needs to. Now this is exactly where we want him. We want to go around here so that Ceaseless is walking around to this side where the walkway is from the fog door. Again, if we went to the body and then ran straight to the fog door, we could just kill him instantly. We're not going to do that just for this. So you get him to see you, you bait his attention, and he'll do a swing. Now this swing takes from a while. It's a long-range swing. He's trying to stretch out and hit us. But the odd thing here is that he can't hit us all the way. Now, normally if you're standing outside of his strike range, you'll see he'll start to go back around the rock because he sees you as kind of being in the other area and wants to go around and hit you from that angle. But as you can imagine, it's not that hard to bait this. It can't damage you afterwards. You can even strike him through the wall like this. So as long as you're kind of back in the area where he can hit you again, he'll swing again. You just have to wait for his roar and back off. Now I don't know why you would do this instead of just running back and killing him instantly using the trick, because he's pretty much a gimmick boss. You're not really supposed to have that much difficulty with him. You could, and probably I guess should, pretty much just beat him instantly after fighting Kelag, because it's free souls, and you get the armor set that he's guarding. So it's not a bad thing to do just in general. However, if you do want to fight him legitimately, you basically have two options. One is to cheese him like this. The other is to get up in his face and just be a real good dodger. You could kind of see how it was working in those first few attempts. It might have been possible to do, but he just has so much health it's not really worth it. Regardless of how you kill him, what'll happen is you'll get a cutscene here in a moment where the lava kind of drains out. Ceaseless Discharge, according to the lore, he's basically the source of this lava, so once he's dead it stops flowing out of him and it kind of dries up. It probably shouldn't be drying up that quickly, but they gotta let you get through it at some point. Now that he's dead, we can get that thing he was guarding. We could always get it, but we didn't want to at the time. As you can see down here, there's a big open area, and what's that? It looks like a Taurus demon. In fact, it's 7 Taurus demons. The official strategy guide calls these guys the 7 heroes. I don't know why it calls them that. The only thing that's interesting about them is that they are non-respawning Taurus demons with slightly better stats than normal Taurus demons. Oh yes, did I mention there are normal Taurus demons? They're also much stronger than the boss version. In fact, all the Taurus demons down here, and yes, I do mean there are more than those 7, have that. Now, unfortunately, I did a run deeper into the ruins where I ended up losing the footage, so I had to go ahead and rerun it. It's unfortunate, but I didn't want to not show you this area when I went to all the trouble of unlocking it. I've decided to change up armor as well. At this point, someone had complained about the aesthetic of the Sorcerer set, so let's try something else. This is the Wanderer set with Elite Knight boots and no gloves. I can still roll pretty decently. I used this against the Taurus Demons, mostly just rolling backwards and using Great Soul Arrow, which comes out faster. Unfortunately, because the 7 heroes are all non-respawning, having killed them all when I was not able to record, they no longer exist, but they would be out here. The trick to them is that they do have independent aggro radiuses, so all you really have to do is go ahead and pull them one at a time, take them out one at a time. If you have a fog ring, it can make it much easier. Out there in the back, in the lava, there's a Chaos Flame Ember. That's one of the 2 embers that you need to make the high-end fire weapons. It's very dangerous to get because you have to walk into the lava. You can either come back here later after you get an item that makes lava easier to deal with, much later in the game, or you can just use the Flash Sweat ability, and the highest fire resistance cure you have, just roll in there and hope you get it. With my low vitality, I wasn't able to make it out, so I had to die in there, but it's certainly possible to get. I actually did do it. Once you've gotten that, you'll come towards this area. You'll see that first Capra Demon, and yes, Capra Demons are now non-boss enemies. You kill him and you start winding down this path. Now we will come back here. There's something that can happen here if you're in body form, but you can't actually get it right now. Even if I were in body form, the event would not appear. Now there's like 6 Capra Demons up there. No point in fighting them, so come down here. There's another bonfire, and there's also a bug enemy that would be there. Again, that one seems to be non-respawning, unfortunately. I don't even bother to use that bonfire, because my goal is that I don't want to have to go back past those Capra Demons. Those guys are bunched up enough that it's very hard to pull them one at a time. Now we go onto these stairs where we have these statues. The statues breathe fire that can do quite a bit of damage to you, but fortunately they're fairly weak. They only have about 300, 400 health. And the Baldur's Side Sword pokes take care of them very nicely. They're also relatively easy to individually pull, so you really only need a decent weapon on these. The trick here is just not to waste too much health, because you want all your Estus for what comes up. Okay, now in front of us there's a Taurus Demon in front of a Golden Fog Door. The Golden Fog Door is basically a barrier for story reasons. We won't be able to proceed past that at this stage in the game. You just can't. That's where the rest of the Demon Ruins area will be, in the area beyond it. So you might say, well, why then come here, because you can't do anything. Also notice how much easier these Taurus Demons are. I think the boss version has slightly more health, but these guys do more damage and have better defenses. There's also a respawning bug there. If he sprays acid on you, it can break your gear. We'll see more of that in a minute. I would avoid him. If you have to fight in that area, though, you're going to want to make sure you kill him off before you pull this Taurus Demon. Because the last thing you want is him breaking your weapon while you've got a Taurus Demon trying to hit you. That one you don't want to fight on his own turf, because this passageway, this walkway gets narrower and narrower, leading to this final Taurus Demon, who we have a very narrow walkway here. He can easily push us off of it just by normally walking. Fortunately, with these heavy soul arrows and great soul arrows, you can kind of wear them out as they come in. Otherwise, what you want to do is bait their overhand strike, which they'll almost always do when they're running at you, roll back from it, and then move forward and attack. More of these bugs. They have quite a lot of health, and again, they'll spew acid if you're close to them. They won't really do much of anything if you're not, though, so it makes them a bit easier to deal with. With Taurus Demons and Capra Demons, they're actually a lot easier to fight when they're regular enemies, despite in many ways arguably being stronger. The reason for that, I think, is terrain. In the Taurus Demon fight, you didn't have a lot of lateral room to maneuver, and in the Capra Demon fight, you had dogs and a small area. Now this chest here contains the Great Flame Ember. This one is another one of the high-end fire embers, which is used for a blacksmith that has not yet been seen, but he's the last blacksmith in the game. Well, there's one in Androlondo as well. And he does actually take one ember, but otherwise... However, the one in Androlondo is a mid-game guy. We can't get to him through sequence breaking, because you have to kind of follow the game in sequence to actually unlock it. There's no point in fighting these things, so we'll homeward bone out and go back to the Chaos fireplace. I've crossed the swamp here. This is the branch leading into the Tree Hollow. I'm going to show one more little thing before we leave Blighttown. Hopefully for good, but not really. Now this part with the double hidden walls leading to a somewhat secret area, the Great Hollow, and below that an area called Ash Lake. This is not that great a secret, and it's not what I wanted to show. But if you weren't aware that you could do that, there is a pair of secret walls back there. It's kind of funny like that. You open the secret wall, there's a chest there at the back, you figure that's the treasure, but no, it's actually another secret wall. Now this bonfire is pretty much the last place that you should save if you're coming down here early in the game, because you do not want to have to climb up through Great Hollow manually. In the meantime, let's check out something that is really nifty and really not all that hard. The Great Hollow's main feature, other than just being kind of annoying and you kind of go up and down in it vertically, is that it has one of the highest concentrations of crystal lizards in the game. If you're looking for a chance at another slab, or just more chunks, more Twinkling Titanite, this is a great place to hit up, especially early on. For example, if you got a Black Knight weapon early and you're using it, and you get into Blighttown, this can be a great place to go to get upgrades. You drop down like I did. First you go on that one branch, follow it to the end, drop down to the next branch, follow that, and then drop into that little alcove. You come out here and you'll see one of them. Now this little platform here actually has 3 of them. They don't always spawn. You have to kind of quit and reload the game to see them again, which we'll do here. Now this time we don't see one, nor can I hear one. There's another one that'll spawn up in this tunnel, I believe. Additionally, there's a platform a few steps down below that you can access from here. It also contains crystal lizards. I think 2 of them. There's about 10 in here, and you can see. Oh, there's the one in the tunnel. You can see them. There's about 10 of them in here. You don't have to get all of them. Just the 4 of them here will give you plenty of Twinkling Titanite. You can see there's 2 of the 4 and a blue chunk. So you can get a lot of chunks down here and a lot of Twinkling Titanite. That can be pretty decent. It's not exactly the greatest thing, but it is neat. And it requires little to no combat once you get down here. There are basilisks and things in the tree, but they're not really in any of the areas that you need to go through. You can drop down onto that basilisk platform, and then the other platform that has the crystal lizards is pretty close to it. Now I'm going to wind my way back up because I am low on homeward bones. As you can see, climbing up in the Great Hollow is pretty much a pain. That's why I don't recommend doing it. It's perfectly fine as an area to go down through, but climbing it is a pain. One last thing to get in here. I'll head up to the bonfire and save because I need my health. There's a ring you can get, and it's fairly easy as well. The drop can be a little tricky if the game decides to kill you, but if you just kind of drop here, don't fall into that hole. Ooh. You can get the Chloranthy ring. The Chloranthy ring has pretty much the same effect as the Grass Crest shield. It just takes a ring slot instead of a shield slot. Ring slots are pretty precious, but on the other hand, the Grass Crest shield is not that great a shield. So, unless you're two-handing a weapon, in which case there's really no downside to not having it on there, the Chloranthy ring isn't necessarily such a bad choice. It can do quite a lot for your stamina regeneration, while allowing you to use a better shield. And since better shield is more efficient anyway, in terms of its stability, meaning that you take less stamina damage when you get hit, not a bad choice.